I'm Bill Ritchie, and I'm getting my paper ready before I start my demonstration, my test of the Halfwood Galleon No. 2. I'm tearing some newsprint paper, and I'll be spraying it with a sprayer to get it damp and interleave it with good paper, a paper called arches. A piece of newsprint and a piece of arches. And then these all go into a damp book. Hi, I'm Bill Ritchie, and I'm about to test Galleon No. 2. And I chose to use one of the most complicated pieces I ever did for this test. This is the end result. I made this about 2 years ago. And it's made from two plates. One is for Japanese style water woodblock printing. And so I have that block right here. And I'm getting set up, so this is just waiting for me. I've wetted it, and you'll see why later on. And over here, I have the copper plate. And the copper plate was made over a period of time using my silicone transfer etching technique. There's a lot of hand engraving back in the background and some more silicone transfer. The paper I'll be using is arched cover, and I've already dipped it in water in the sink and put it between pieces of damp newsprint. That's what this is. It's been sprayed with a spray bottle, and then it goes together. Every other sheet is a piece of damp newsprint. That all goes into what's called the damp book. Just a plastic bag, so it won't dry out while I get ready. Now, these are the brushes that I'll be using. These are all available from McLean's or from David Bull in Japan. For color, I'm going cheap today. I'm only using some watercolors. And finally, paste. This is a wheat paste, I believe. I buy it in a Japanese stationery store, and it works just fine. Now I'll talk for a minute about the intaglio part, the inking, the getting ready for the intaglio. For that, I'll of course need some intaglio ink. Today I'm using Daniel Smith Process Black etching ink. And I'm using a Daniel Smith product to make it easy to wipe. It's called Miracle Gel Reducer. A spatula for mixing the ink, a brayer for rolling out the ink, an ink slab. This is a piece of glass taped to a piece of heavy board, and a hot plate. This is a hot plate, little travel iron in a box. I just made it up because it's portable. And finally, the press. This is the new Galleon 9-inch wide bed Galleon Halfwood press. This is called the chase. The chase in this instance is the same thickness as the block, 1/4 of an inch. The chase has the purpose of keeping the roller, which is made for printing intaglio, very heavy pressure, to keep it from crushing the wood blocks or linoleum or safety cut or whatever you're using. You always need a chase for these kind of relief prints. The pressure adjustments are here. I've already set up the pressure, but let me go over how the pressure is to be set up. First of all, crank the rollers all the way down until they touch the bed. It's important to keep them even, so we got them down evenly. And then I use a method of counting backward, or counting up as I raise the roller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12 half turns, or 6 whole turns. And I know from experience that's just about 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't quite touch, but the idea is that the chase is keeping the rollers from pressing down on the block itself. It's gripping on the edges of the chase. That's the idea. For intaglio, we use blankets. It's a whole different way of printing. And in the print I'm doing today, I'm combining relief and intaglio. So I'll be switching from the chase to the intaglio at a point later on. I'm working up the ink, and I can add a little bit of this Miracle Gel Reducer. Make it easier to wipe. It doesn't take very much. That's plenty. About the size of half of a pea. The other way that I can make it easier to wipe is by putting it on that little hot plate. I probably will do both. Also, I'll warm the plate on the hot plate just before I print, because the ink prints much better if the plate has been warmed before you put it on the press bed. Ink is all ready. Take a little bit, put it on the plate, work it in with a photographer's squeegee, is what they call it. You can use a piece of cardboard, chipboard. The point is to get the ink worked well into the textures of the plate. Here's where warming it on the hot plate is going to help. Move that ink around. This is an oil-based ink. None of what I'm talking about works with water-based inks. I always use oil-based inks. Except when I'm doing the Japanese woodcut part. The Japanese woodcut is all water-based. Plate should never get so hot that you can't handle it. When I have all the ink worked into the textures and the lines, then I like to smooth it out with a brayer so I don't have any thick streaks of built up ink. It's going to make the wiping go a little bit easier if I brayer out the ink. Also, if I cover all the plate, not leave any blank places, I'll have a more even tone. Characteristic of intaglio printing is what's called plate tone. Then begins the wiping of the plate. For that, I could go two ways. I could use paper or tarlatan, and I'm going to start with tarlatan today. Tarlatan is a starched cheesecloth, and I'll use the tarlatan to get started. Warm the plate. Now this ink has both the Miracle Gel Reducer in it, and I'm raising the temperature, so speed up the process a little bit. Now the plate's getting a little too hot to handle, so I'll move off. I'm not pushing in very hard. I'm sort of flying over the surface with the tarlatan. If you rub too hard, you'll rub the ink right out of the texture. Now let's try the paper. That's better. The paper does a good job of the final wipe. There's also a technique called the hand wipe. The hand has to be dry. If it's a hot day and your hands are sweaty, you have to use some talcum powder on your hand.